We are indeed living in interesting and strange times. The company that invented the digital camera is staging a comeback that has nothing to do with photography. It has been such a great week, and I had a smile on my face when I looked at the share price of Kodak rising because it holds such a special place in my heart, in the hearts of all Americans and the rest of the world. This is a company with such a rich history, not only by itself, but also for our parents, our grandparents, and so on. And I'm so glad that they are back. This week, something others would call a miracle has taken place. The Kodak shares have seen an increase of 1,481%. The company valuation went from $92 million to $1.5 billion. Now you must be wondering what the share price change was. Well, get ready to be blown away because I almost fell off my chair when I first heard the news. Their share price went from $2.10 on Friday close of business to $33.20 on Wednesday. The stock was even halted for more than 12 times in one day. To experience all of this unfolding right before my eyes is truly a Kodak moment, to say the least. Now, before I dive deep into the reasons as to why Kodak experienced such a heavy trading, allow me to give you a brief history of the company, which will then help you understand my opinion, which I'll share with you at the end of this video. The full name of the Kodak company is not just Kodak. It's actually the Eastman Kodak Company. Now, this is an American technology company that produces camera-related products with its historic basis on photography, obviously. Kodak was founded by George Eastman and Henry Strong in 1888. Now I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, where does the name Kodak come from if it's not one of these guys' surnames? Well, according to George Eastman, the name Kodak has no meaning. It was just a name that he thought is a catchy name and people would not easily forget the name, and therefore he named the company Kodak. Before naming the company Kodak, it was his camera that was named Kodak, but then eventually he decided, you know what, I will just name the company as Kodak. Now, during most of the 20th century, Kodak held a very dominant position in photographic film. The company's ubiquity was such that its Kodak moment tagline entered the common lexicon to describe a personal event that deserved to be recorded for posterity. Kodak began to struggle financially in the late 1990s, and this was as a result of the decline in sales of photographic film, and its slowness in transitioning to digital photography was really its downfall, despite having developed the first self-contained digital camera. In January 2012, Kodak filed for bankruptcy. Shortly thereafter, Kodak announced that it will stop making digital cameras, pocket video cameras, and digital picture frames, and they would focus on corporate digital imaging market. In January 2013, the court approved financing for Kodak to emerge from bankruptcy, and they were back just like that. Under the President's executive order supporting domestic response to COVID-19 under the Defense Production Act, the United States International Development Finance Corporation said it will lend $765 million to Kodak under the Defense Production Act. Now, this act requires companies to accept and prioritize government contracts for national security and other reasons. This $765 million government loan is to produce generic drug ingredients, which is in response to the coronavirus pandemic. This announcement is what drove the heavy trading on the Kodak stock.
Today I'm proud to announce one of the most important deals in the history of U.S. pharmaceutical industries. My administration has reached a historic agreement with a great American company. You remember this company? It's called, from the good old camera age, the old days, to begin producing critical pharmaceutical ingredients. It's called Kodak. And it's going to be right here in America. So I want to congratulate the people in Kodak. They've been working very hard. Members.
Firstly, allow me to say that no one has a crystal ball, and therefore no one can say for sure what's going to happen in the future. However, we can make an educated guess. Secondly, I do not have any financial interest in the stock in any way, shape, or form. Now, There are many factors which are surrounding this contract. The first one being pressure to management to actually make this work. There are many parties at stake, from the government to shareholders to also some of the directors themselves who happen to have shares in Kodak. The second thing is competition. Kodak will be going up against some big and tough competition who have a huge financial muscle and companies who have cemented themselves in the industry as leaders. Also, understanding that this is in response to COVID-19, one thing I've learned in pharmaceuticals when it comes to finding vaccines and cures is that speed is such an important factor, and therefore if something better comes along, there might be no longer demand for this, which will force them to change to another niche. The fourth thing is, one of the ingredients they will be manufacturing is for hydroxychloroquine. Now, CNBC reported that the national virus expert, which is Dr. Fauci, has said that hydroxychloroquine is not effective against COVID-19. Now, I understand that there are conflicting responses when it comes to whether hydroxychloroquine is working against COVID-19 or not. However, if the doctors opt to follow Dr. Fauci's advice, this might mean that there will be no demand for this, which would prove to be a problem for a company which is solely relying on that. Also, the lack of knowledge by management when it comes to pharmaceuticals is something that we cannot ignore. I mean, Kodak tried to enter the pharmaceutical business, which didn't end up well for them. I think it was around the 1990s when they acquired stealing drugs, and they eventually had to sell them off because they were not profitable. However, they do have the government support, as the US is trying to make sure that they expedite domestic production of drugs that can treat a variety of medical conditions, and they want to loosen the US reliance on foreign sources. For those reasons, they might be successful. All in all, it is such a great day for Kodak, or should I say a great week, or who knows, maybe it might be a great month. And indeed, it is a Kodak moment. Thank you so much for tuning in till the end. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please don't forget to smash the subscribe button, and I will see you on the next one. Have yourself a very Kodak moment.